Hey y'all, welcome back. Today is June 9th, which is my 4-year podcast anniversary. And so I wanted to drop this special episode, a thank you. I'm not sure if you're new here or if you've been rocking with me for the past 4 years, or maybe you've been rocking with me for 3 years after I originally rebranded. But I just want to say thank you for walking this journey with me, tuning in every week. I truly appreciate all of it. I don't take none of it for granted. When I first set out to do what I'm doing in terms of podcasting, it looked very different. And I think that I'm super grateful for the fact that I allowed myself to grow as a person through podcasting. Um, Again, I don't know if this y'all first episode or not, so I'll just kind of like walk you through briefly my journey as a podcaster. So before I even decided that I wanted to do podcasting, because I didn't know what the fuck it was, people were coming to me saying that I should start a podcast, and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Then I began to see other people in Chicago doing a podcast, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I can do that. And so I remember during the pandemic happens, right? 2020, the pandemic happens, and a lot of people was connecting and befriending just different people, right? It just so happened that I befriend Terry. Somehow we become connected on Facebook, and he talking shit. I'm a shit talker. Like, I feel like all of the shit talkers in Chicago became friends during the pandemic. And I saw that he had started, like, he was podcasting. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm paying attention. I'm hip. I'm like, whatever. And I remember reaching out to him. And I remember this conversation very clearly because, again, people telling me I should podcast. And I'm like, okay, it's only one person that I see doing this. So I remember contacting Terry and saying like, okay, yeah, I want a podcast. And he like, well, what you want to talk about? What you want to podcast about? And why do you want a podcast? Like, and I'm putting a little extra sauce on it because that's how I received it. That may not be how he actually said it, or maybe he was like saying it like that. Maybe he was a dickhead. But how I received it was the way I'm saying it. So he like, yeah, if you're not serious about it, then I don't know what to tell you because I'm trying to quit my day job. Like, I take this shit serious. Like, this is my life path type shit. So I'm like, whoa, excuse me. I just thought I was a little entertaining and wanted to try something new. So let me stop talking to you, Mr. Serious ass nigga, because clearly I'm not as serious as you because I don't know what the fuck I want to talk about. I don't know what my goals are. I just came up with the idea and I contacted someone that I know is doing it. But that conversation changed my life. It truly did. After having that conversation with him, I think we had that conversation around like August of 2020, like around that time. Maybe it was July, August. It was definitely in 2020. I remember going on another podcast. I ended up going on my first podcast in 2020. It was September of 2020. So right after I had that conversation with Terry. Because I told Terry I wanted a podcast and he basically was like, no, you don't. So I was like, okay, cool. So then I met someone else who like, I had a friend. I used to be friends with someone. We're not friends anymore, but she has podcast friends. So we just so happened to be kicking it or whatever. And she like, yeah, you want to pull up? And if you know anything about me, when I'm in certain seasons where if you like my everyday type of homie or whatever, if you say, yo, we kicking it, pull up, I'm probably pulling up every single time. So that was one of those times. I pull up. They got the podcast equipment out. They got the computer and mics and blah, blah, blah. And I had never been to, I had never seen a podcast take place. And so we were having like a good conversation and he just was like, yo, you dope. Get on the mic. And I was like, okay. Hopped on the mic and it was a good conversation. And from there, like the conversation I was having with that particular person who we don't talk anymore. We don't, and by talk, I mean like we don't have conversations anymore. We still connected on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, but he doesn't podcast anymore. But he was like, yeah, I think you dope as fuck. Like, I could see you doing like some amazing things when it comes to podcasting or whatever. And I'm like, okay, like, and I'm not even thinking like he gassing me up or no shit like that, because I agree, I am dope as fuck. I do think I can do a lot of, like, you're not telling me nothing that feels like, oh my God, for real. Like, I'm like, true, I'm solid. And he ended up inviting me back to be on his podcast, and we had back and forth conversations, and he talked to me about like, oh, well, do you want to start your own podcast? I'll help you, I'll support you, whatever the case may be. And so, and I believed him, because I'm the type of person, and it's kind of crazy because I kind of jokingly say it's kind of easy to love bomb me or whatever, but when people praise me or say that I'm doing good, I think they're right. Like, I believe it. So it's not like I thought he was gassing me up or no shit like that. But long story short, that kind of that friendship, because we were kind of building like a friendship, kind of partnership, businessship, whatever the case may be, that came to an end because he was like, yo, I'm gonna do everything in my power to like make sure you have the resources or whatever the case may be to do what you need to do, because I see you got it. Like, you got it. You solid. So I'm like, okay, cool. The man, I'm like telling him like, okay, cool. I want to set up like, my, like, what do I have to do to get my content distributed, and how would I record it? So I'm asking a lot of questions and shit like that. And he being kind of like a wishy-washy ass Gemini. Like, one minute he's super responsive, the next he not. And if you know anything about me, I can't manage, I can't move like that. I can't deal with like, I'm not saying that I'm a rigid ass bitch, because I'm not. But the things I can control, I want to control them. The things that I can't control, okay, understandable. I'm good at pivoting. How can we pivot? But the stuff that I can't control, I need to be in control of that. And the fact that I'm just asking you, how do I upload a fucking podcast description, and what do I do? Like, and you not helping me how you said you was going to help me. Like, now I got to figure this shit out on my own. So, and I'm going to do it. Like, I'm very much the type of person where it's like, it's going to get done with or without you type shit. And so, that situation, that friendship, partnership, or whatever, business partnership, came to an end after I had already had a concept for my podcast name. Along the way, so literally was on his show in 2020, 2021, when I stepped into my hoe phase. That's when I decided that my content was going to be about sex. And he was, we were communicating throughout that, because I was looking to him for guidance, because again, I told y'all, I called Terry told me like, bitch, you not for real. He didn't call me a bitch, but that's how I'm telling y'all what I heard, right? So I went to this other person, because I'm like, I don't know too many people that are doing what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to figure this shit out or whatever. So now he wishy-washy, and I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm trying to figure this shit out on my own. So I'm like, you know what? Again, I'm still watching Terry Page. I'm still watching him on Facebook, and I'm like, all right, cool. They going live. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go live then. Fuck it. So I'm like, I bet. I had my name for my pie. I was like, I'm gonna call it Provocative, and I'll spell it with a hoe in the middle. Idea came to me. I was high as a motherfucker, because I was in the crib making edibles, high, doing the dishes. I decided that the podcast was gonna be called Provocative. Came up with the idea in March. And I said, I'm not going to launch this until 6/9. So what I did was, I did some research. I knew I wanted to launch on a Wednesday. I didn't know, for me, I like Wednesdays. I like hump day. I like Wednesdays. So I knew I wanted to launch on a Wednesday. And so I was like, yo, now, if y'all remember, I said this on the episode before, I was supposed to have a co-host. I had this Puerto Rican girl who's my friend. We was both supposed to talk about sex. She was the freaking Puerto Rican, and I'm Jody. So we were supposed to do this together, but she was not as consistent as me. And also, honestly, my personality is louder and more like out there than hers. And so I don't think that would have even worked now that I think about it in hindsight. But I just know I wanted to do this shit. So I decided, like, all right, cool. I wanted to launch on a Wednesday. She didn't agree with a Wednesday. She was like, no, ain't nobody gonna listen to or tune in on a Wednesday just because you want to do it on a Wednesday. And I'm like, all right, girl, whatever. Because again, I was supposed to do this with somebody. And then guess what? I'm going to do it with or without you. So I ended up saying I was going to do it on Wednesday. Because first of all, provocative, it's not like me and her came up with the name provocative together. I came up with the name. I came up with the concept. I was just trying to include somebody with me because I thought at the time that I needed somebody to be with me. And I quickly found out that I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. Fast forward, I started going live. I go live for the first time on June 9th, 2021. And it was cool. I'm actually trying to figure out how I can download all those lives and create like a special, like the early stages of provocative, like kind of series or whatever. And so I remember going live, and the first time I went live, I remember TJ being all in the comments talking shit. And TJ, me and him had already had like some back and forth correspondence or whatever, like on social media. He had just got on Facebook. He added me. I'm sure he added me from Terry page type shit because I had only been friends with Terry. And then I eventually was friends with Reggie. And like, I just started being friends with all these niggas. And so I remember the second time I went live, TJ was like, yo, we connected, and he was like, you ready to come over to Death Row? And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is you talking about? He like, yeah, we got a podcast network, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm with that. Y'all, TJ spent me. He was a lying ass nigga. He did not want me on the network. He was just saying anything. But he did. But then what ended up happening was he was like, oh, we don't want too many ladies on the podcast network. They was looking at somebody else that they was trying to have on the network type shit. And I was like, all right, whatever, it's cool. But what ended up happening was I had like the kind of near death experience or whatever, and I decided to take a step back from podcasting in 2021. So and I know I'm giving y'all literally the full history of provocative, but I think that history is important because I want y'all to see all the growth that I've seen in myself and how it was so much stuff that took place behind the scenes that, even with all of that stuff happening, I kept going. And so when I was just going live, I was getting like anywhere between like maybe 5 to 30 people tuning into the live. It wasn't like a lot of people, whatever. I was recording out of my dance studio. And so sometimes I would literally just have a live audience and people like, talking to me and engaging with me. My very first episode, I technically had a sex toy sponsorship because there was this woman who sells sex toys. Like, she was like, oh, you could do sex toy reviews and I'll give you the toys and then blah, blah, blah. So it's like I almost instantly had like, people that was supporting me in different ways, and I was learning a lot of things in real time. And so, but literally, I decided that I needed to rebrand provocative. I need to take a step back, figure out where I wanted to go with it, because I couldn't just keep talking about random ass like, oh, well, what you think about this or what you think about that. Everybody and their mama got an opinion. Everybody and their mama have a general ass podcast. So I had to take a step back, and then I was like, all right, cool. I knew I wanted to talk about sex. I knew I wanted to talk about being a hoe. But what more, right? Something needed to change. So took a step back, built out a website, redid the logo for provocative because my first provocative logo is kind of janky. I'm actually gonna share it with y'all, and so y'all can see it. But the first logo was kind of like, it was kind of janky, and that's cool because my second logo, I absolutely loved it. I used it from 2022 to 2024 when I decided to rebrand. So I used it for 2 years. And I literally, when I rebranded, I took a step back and I decided to tell my backstory. I decided that with season 1, I would try to tell my backstory about what I've experienced so far. After the first 13 episodes, I decided to well, actually it's not after the first 13 episodes were recorded. It was actually after, around the time they were published, I became a certified sexologist. So after the first like maybe 2 to 3 episodes, I had already just like realized that I needed to be ethical in my approach to talking about sex. I think that's very important. I didn't want to be just another person talking about sex. I wanted credentials. I wanted to be qualified. And so I did that. And so did 2 different certification programs. Did a general certification program with Dr. Rachel's Institute. And then I did a fellatio specialty. And I did that with Sexperts Consultant. So I am a Sexpert Consultant. And then I'm also, and also I'm ABS certified, the American Board of Sexology. So there's that. But it was like so many things were happening behind the scenes. Like during 2022, I met Precious. At one point, I wanted Precious to be my co-host for Provocative, but that didn't even make sense. So I didn't move forward with that. But I met Precious before I even met, like, I was actually really cool. I ended up meeting Precious, and then me and him grew a strong connection and bond based off of the conversations we were having. And it was just, dope all around. And of course, I eventually came over to FC Network. What ended up happening was I shot an episode the day before TJ's birthday. So it was in April. It was like April 6th. And so I had already, again, I told y'all I met TJ in 2021. And we had our back and forth correspondence about like, oh, am I going to be a part of the network, blah, blah, blah. He was spinning me because he was like, oh, actually, I co-own this network, so I got to talk to my business partner. So he basically blaming every fucking thing on Terry. And I told y'all, I talked to Terry a year before. Terry said he want to fuck with me. He want to fuck with your girl. He didn't say that, but that's what I heard. So, but I'm like, all right, these niggas ain't fucking with me. And that's okay. Like, I'm not even somebody where it's like, oh, okay, cool, I feel some type of way or whatever the case may be. Y'all don't want me a part of the network, but TJ literally told me everything I needed to buy. He was like, okay, if you want a podcast, you got to get a roadcaster. You got to get a quality mic. You got to get some headphones. You got to get SD cards. You got to get your lighting together. Like, all that shit or whatever. I was like, I bet. He sent me the list. And guess what I did? I bought all that shit. I went and bought all the fucking podcast equipment. Every fucking thing that they had in this motherfucking basement. I went and bought it. And TJ came over and helped me set my shit up. Precious was my first guest. Precious was my first guest. And we talked about double standards. The first topic after the rebrand was double standards. And Boogie joined in, like he just kind of like forced him, like I don't want to say forced, but like he was talking so much shit in the background. I was like, oh yeah, come on, just like get on or whatever, and that was cool. And so that episode, like after that day, like because Real had came over, and he didn't obviously he didn't shoot my episode or whatever because I'm not a part of FC Network yet, and but obviously they saw something on that day to whereas now Real telling Boogie like, yeah, Boogie, you gotta holler at Terry, tell him she needs to be on the network, whatever the case may be. And that's how that shit happened. Like after that, now I get a phone call from Terry, and Terry like, yeah, so you trying to be on the network? And I'm like, yeah, to be on the network, you gotta do this. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. This is what I want. You're not gonna be able to do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want though. And I don't know, like it's kind of funny thinking back because I feel like this is what I think. I think Terry expected me and him to bump heads way more than we did. And maybe we did bump heads in the beginning because I do have this kind of like, I have a Jody way about me. But I think now, like, we've learned each other's working style. We've learned what each other is kind of like good at. And so like, I don't know, like it's definitely hella shit where it's like, I mean, obviously Terry knew I was serious this time around, because the first time I called him, I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. And he said what he said. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm not going to talk to this man again until all right, cool. He said he's serious about this shit. At the time, I wasn't serious. I had to figure that shit out. But I was serious. Obviously, I was serious. I just bought $1,000 of fucking equipment because y'all told me I couldn't be on the network. All for me to be on the fucking network and then me return all that fucking shit. But all of that literally taught, like, going through that process and going through the transition of doing every fucking thing by myself all the time to now being in a space where I'm surrounded by people that are on the same type of time as me. I don't take that for granted at all, especially because one of the first people I admired when it came to podcasting was Terry. And that was when he was just getting started, because Terry has done this a year longer than me. Like, I've been doing this shit a year. He's at year 5, almost at year 6. Like, he's been doing it longer than me because he's gotten more reps in. But even when I was seeing his early work, it was something like, you know, of course he was a wild ass nigga and he was saying wild shit. And I'm like, ooh, I'm a wild ass nigga bitch too. So I think that what for me, that was like the model. Like, I always look, like, I don't listen, and I'm gonna be very transparent, I don't listen to a lot of podcasters. I listen to Terry. Like, I listen to his podcast because I feel like the way he podcasts is the standard of success for me. Now, I know he has a different standard of success for, you know, maybe himself or for based on what he consumes, because Terry consumes different types of podcasts and he'll send me stuff and say, you need to listen to this or whatever the case may be. But for me, he was the standard. So making him proud was very important to me, especially when I got that phone call and he was like, yeah, so you're trying to be down with the network. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I could be a cool kid now. But it's definitely been an interesting journey as well, seeing how like I've changed provocative throughout the provocative was provocative for a little over 2 years, and then I rebranded. So even going through that process was very interesting. I became someone different through provocative. Like, I literally became somebody different because I was doing shit and I was telling y'all in real time, but I was also telling y'all shit that wasn't happening in real time. And I didn't really make a distinction. And I love that for me. Because every time I tell a story, it sounds like the shit just happened. And I like that. But sometimes that shit really was just happening. Like, anytime I told a story about a threesome, that shit damn near happened within like very recent almost. No, I take that back. No. Everything wasn't always happening in real time, but it was damn near super close to happening. And that's why I could like tell it in detail. But it was kind of like 50-50. So yeah, it was dead as like 50-50. Like, half the time that shit might have just happened. The other half, it was like, oh, that shit happened like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. But through telling those stories, and then also like the more I did it, the more I feel like I got closer to going in this new direction. Because what started out as me just like, oh, okay, I've never experienced this, I'm a curious person, I'm going to experience this, literally led me down a rabbit hole of wanting to just like, I need more. I'm even more curious than I thought I was in the beginning. I went from being someone who never masturbated until after they turned 30 to someone that literally will teach a masturbation class. I went from someone who literally has so much shame around oral sex to teaching this. I went from someone who, even when it came to sex, like I was a pillow princess. A pillow princess. Now, at this point, I'm a dominatrix. Like going from a pillow princess to a dominatrix, like very extreme. Like I'm going from over here all the way over here, right? And then, but still doing it in a way that didn't feel like, oh, I just went off course. If that makes sense. Like I feel like it was still a very natural way of like, all right, cool. I went from being shameful to being liberated. And I feel like that's not, I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, it's just like, all right, you just turn this corner and now you go from this to this. I think because I was so intentional with my actions to, and it's not like, oh, this is the goal. That's the other thing. I didn't know it was the goal until I was already turning and I'm like, all right, I want to go there with it. It wasn't like I knew the destination. I just knew that I wanted to take a drive. And then along the drive, I said, you know what? I want to stop here. I want to like get off on this exit. And just doing what felt natural and right for my spirit. And so it's crazy because it's like, I don't like, actually, I'm going to do it anyways because it's my fucking show and it kind of makes sense. But thinking about this is my ministry, y'all. Like, sex has become my ministry. And I know, like, you know, for the religious folks, they like, oh my God, I can't believe you said sex is a ministry and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it truly is. It's like any other discipline. And it's important. It's necessary, right? It's so crazy how sex and religion are like, and not even to get into like the religious kind of like the sexual undertones that are like embedded in religion, because religion is low-key kinky as fuck. Like the idea of like self-punishment and like that's some masochist kinky ass shit, right? But I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I think the fact like I was able to kind of document this journey in real time allowed me to heal parts of myself that I didn't know needed healing. And I think that the reason that was possible is because I've always led with vulnerability. And it's crazy because I'm finna get emotional on this fucking camera. I don't get emotional often. I feel like it's probably like I could still count on my hands how many episodes I've actually like got emotional on, but I'm dead ass proud of myself. And I think I'm only getting emotional because it's Gemini season. I'm gonna bring in some astrology shit. But I've said this before on the show, but it was in a sexual context. But my Mars is in Gemini. And I be moody as fucking June. I be moody as fucking June. But also, if you follow me on Instagram, you know my Diddy birthday just passed. And he's a Gemini. And so June, I try to celebrate, but it's a really hard month for me as well. So it's like high, low. And that's like super crazy because like even when I was starting Provocative and I was in my dad's studio, my daddy used to bust in the middle of a fucking episode. Like I'll be recording and he'll come through like with the key and walk through the damn set. And I'm like, I'm doing something. Oh, my bad. So if I can find that live, I'm going to post that live for sure. And I'm going to try to like just have like a nice little package of like episodes that y'all would have never seen because I was only going live when I first started. But I feel like that paired with the fact that we just did this Made in Chicago weekend, which was a lot of different emotions for me as well. That's crazy. I didn't think I was gonna go here with this episode, but I think what it comes down to is like just like me knowing that I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. And the crazy thing is like, it's been 4 years, but it doesn't feel like it's been a whole 4 years. Like it doesn't feel like 4 years sounds like a long time, but it doesn't feel like a long time. And I think the reason it doesn't feel like a long time is because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's like, I know the destination. I feel it in my heart that I'm going exactly where I'm supposed to go, and I'm going to get everything I want out of this. So it's like these emotions come from like dead ass pride, but then also knowing like a lot of the late nights, the trying to get this shit out, trying to figure this shit out. Like, it's a lot of stuff that go into this shit that people, again, y'all just see the output. Y'all see the output. Y'all don't see the times where my audio been so fucked up and I thought it was a great episode, and then I'm like torn between like, oh, do I still drop it or do I do this? I take a lot of pride in the content that I put out because it's me. Like, what I put out, I put all of me into the things that I put out. And so I think that's where I'm like, yo, I really kept going. And I want to take a minute to acknowledge the fact that I could have easily have just like stopped and done something else. But I don't care if only 5 people listen to me. I don't care if it's 5 people. I don't care if it's 500 people. Like, I'm going to continue to show up because I know that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It's so much that I could tell y'all as it relates to, you know, like just the background of Provocative. And the reason that I'm talked mostly about Provocative and didn't really get into Her None Matters is because if you guys listen to the very first episode of the newly rebranded Her None Matters episode, I talk about why I transitioned from Provocative to Her None Matters already. So you guys, and you have, Her None Matters history is, well, Her None Matters has not made a year yet, technically, but my journey as a podcaster has lasted 4 years, and I want to acknowledge that, and I want to say happy anniversary to me. 4 years, I think 4 years is crazy. 4 years is crazy. But I don't know. I'm crazy, I guess. That's all I got. Like I said, I want to thank y'all because I do this for y'all. I truly do. I don't care if it's 5 of y'all. I don't care if it's 500 of y'all. I'm going to keep showing up and putting myself into everything that I do because I hope to inspire you guys to do the exact same thing. So, yeah, I'm not crying on no more episodes for the rest of the year. I promise y'all, like, this shit cooked. But yeah. This thank you. Thank you. This is my thank you to y'all. This is my thank you to Terry. This is my thank you to Real, Boogie, TJ, Precious. My thank you to Jones, Cam, Raimi, my dad, everybody that. This is my thank you for seeing me. All right, I'm out.
That was really nice. Congratulations.